The Sixth Sense? I can't. The Sixth That word should just be banned from everyone's vocabulary.
In this corner, standing at 5 feet 2 inches, and that doesn't include the hair, it's the 1980s.
Let's do this.
And in this corner, in all her windbreaker realness, it's the 1990s.
I'm here to win.
You both know the rules. 3 categories, you each have 30 seconds to plead your case. To all of you watching, we have a poll in the top right-hand corner of this video. Once you know how you want to vote, do so there and make your case in the comments. Here we go. Round 1, music.
Let's be honest, all of our favorite songs are from the 80s. A song that's endured for so long, being covered by the likes of Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, and Nicki Minaj, which is ironic since it's a cover itself. Originally sung by Robert Hazard, it's Girls Just Wanna Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. It's arguably the biggest song of her career, and it came out in 1983. The 1980s was also the most memorable time in Michael Jackson's career. 1982 had Billie Jean and Beat It. 1983 had Wanna Be Startin' Something, Human Nature, and PYT, which is stuck in my head now. And of course, 1984 was Thriller. All of these singles were from his Thriller album. Now, not many artists have that many great songs and have been listened to consistently for over 4 decades. That's MJ for you. But there was also Prince. In the 1980s, he released When Doves Cry and Purple Rain, just to name a few. Can't forget Whitney Houston's heyday either. She had songs like How Will I Know, Saving All My Love for You, The Greatest Love of All, and let's not forget I Wanna Dance with Somebody. And finally, an artist who needs no introduction and who basically embodies the 1980s, Madonna. Madonna's first album was released in 1983, titled simply Madonna. You'd think these songs would be hard to remember since Madonna's had such a long and varied career, but no, there were songs like Lucky Star, Borderline, and Holiday. Her follow-up was released in 1984 and had songs like Material Girl and Like a Virgin. When would Madonna release songs like that again?
When would she release music like that again? How about the 90s? Her 5th album, Erotica, was released in 1992, Bedtime Stories released in 1994, and Ray of Light released in 1998. That doesn't even include the entire soundtrack Evita for the film, which was released in 1996. And her greatest hits album, The Immaculate Collection, which was released in 1990. We should also remember that Mariah Carey released her first album in 1990, which would be followed in 1991 by Emotions, and then Music Box in 1993, which included the song Hero. And then Merry Christmas in 1994, which included everyone's favorite Christmas song to this day, All I Want for Christmas Is You. 1995 brought us Daydream, which is one of her most successful albums, including songs like Fantasy, One Sweet Day, and Always Be My Baby. And the 1990s were the best decade for boy bands. New Kids on the Block released their 4th album, Step by Step, in 1990. Backstreet Boys covered most of the decade, having been formed in 1993. NSYNC came on the scene near the end of the decade, and even lesser boy bands like 98 Degrees were kicking around. And who could forget former Musketeers Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, who both released their debut albums in 1999. TLC was on the scene with Crazy Sexy Cool in 1994, which not only had great songs, but an empowering message for women and a rap verse everyone tried to perfect from Waterfalls. They followed this release with fan mail in 1999 with songs like No Scrubs and Unpretty. What a way to end the decade.
Round 2, television.
Where everybody knows your name. Da-na-na. Move aside, Ross and Rachel. In the 80s, it was all about Sam and Diane from Cheers, or Maddie and David from Moonlighting, or Christine and Judge Stone on Night Court. And talk about a decade for women. Even though its first episode aired in the 70s, Laverne and Shirley's final episode aired in 1983.
Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Paving the way for other buddy-style shows featuring women like Cagney and Lacey and Kate and Allie. Cagney and Lacey was a 1-hour police drama with 2 tough women that was canceled before a letter-writing campaign brought it back. It ended up thriving with lots of great ratings and critical acclaim. Get this, the 2 lead actresses, Tyne Daly and Sharon Gless, won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series for 6 years in a row. Tyne Daly won in 1983, 84, 85, and 88, and Sharon Gless won in 86 and 87. Kate and Allie also broke barriers by being about two divorced women who decide to live together to raise their kids. They went against type of what you'd commonly see on TV, even now. And then you had some great family shows like Family Ties, Growing Pains, and The Wonder Years. Not to mention great teen shows like Degrassi Junior High and Saved by the Bell.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You do not get Saved by the Bell, no way. It started in 1989, but the rest of the show was in the 90s, especially if you include the college years and Wedding in Las Vegas. That is a 90s show. No one thinks Zach Morrison thinks the 80s. The 90s also had some amazing teen shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Boy Meets World, Beverly Hills 90210, and the short-lived My So-Called Life. And you may think the 80s had the first Ross and Rachel, but the 90s had the real Ross and Rachel. Friends aired from 1994 to 2004, a solid 10-year run. And the common term Ross and Rachel is used in all similar on and off meant to be couples in television because these characters did it best. The long-running original Law & Order began its 20-year run in September 1990 and lasted until May 2010. So many tried to replicate its magic.
These are their stories.
It even had several spin-offs, including Law & Order Special Victims Unit, beginning in 1999, and Law & Order Criminal Intent, beginning in 2001. And if you want to talk about great female characters, look no further than Scully from The X-Files. Gillian Anderson won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series in 1997. And don't forget about the transformative show Ellen, starring none other than Ellen DeGeneres, from 1994 to 1998. Ellen became the first show ever to have the lead character come out.
Susan, I'm gay.
This paved the way for shows like Will and Grace, that could then address important issues to the gay community in a fun, lighthearted way. And who could forget the only gal pal in Seinfeld, Elaine? She was a woman who was funny, sharp, and anything but a side player.
Round 3, movies.
If you want a great teen movie, look no further than the 1990s. Clueless, Empire Records, 10 Things I Hate About You, and Never Been Kissed. These movies were lighthearted, full of messages, but funny. And then you had the great action movies, like the best Terminator movie, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Then you had the Keanu Reeves heyday with Point Break, Speed, and of course, The Matrix. The Mission Impossible franchise began in 1996. And of course, Will Smith started to establish himself as a serious action star in Enemy of the State. This is also the decade everyone will associate with the amazing director Steven Spielberg. You have Hook, Jurassic Park, along with his historical dramas including Amistad and Schindler's List. When did Spielberg make such amazing and important films if not the 90s? And then there was the twist of a generation, the twist of all time. The Sixth Sense from director and writer M. Night Shyamalan. Spoiler alert, Bruce Willis is dead the whole time. The 80s didn't have a twist like that.
When would there ever be a twist like that? Oh, the person was dead the whole time. Whatever. How about finding out the protagonist's mortal enemy is his dad? That's right, Darth Vader telling Luke Skywalker that he's his father is from 1980's The Empire Strikes Back. Nice try, 90s.
I am your father.
And I can't overlook the Spielberg comment. The 1980s had E.T. the Extraterrestrial and Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Take that. Oh, you want something culturally significant? He also directed The Color Purple, which was starring EGOT holder Whoopi Goldberg and everyone's favorite boss lady, Oprah Winfrey. Oh, you want science fiction too? Oh, okay. He was also the executive producer on a little movie called Back to the Future. This was also the decade where Bruce Willis made the jump from small screen star to bona fide action hero with Die Hard, which by the way was the first in 5 films, the last of which was in 2013. There might even be a 6th one. And maybe the 90s had Keanu Reeves, but the 80s had the Sylvester Stallone action films, from First Blood to Cobra, and not to mention Rocky III and Rocky IV. We also had Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport in 1988. And finally, don't even try to come for the 80s teen movies. Please. The 80s is known for that genre more than any other decade. It's the time when it flourished. Whether it was the deep and heavy, like The Breakfast Club, or the lighthearted and fun Ferris Bueller's Day Off, this decade had it all. Who can forget Say Anything or Can't Buy Me Love? I mean, there would be no McDreamy without that movie. McDreamy. The 80s had anything and everything you could want in a teen movie.
Well, you've heard the arguments. Which decade was better, the 1980s or the 1990s? We have a poll right in the top corner of this video. Answer the poll and make your case in the comments below.